Hello and welcome to a new video. So today I'll show you how the Transformers Python library works, specifically for the summarization task. So if you want to create summaries of some text, you can use the Transformers library with certain models. So I'll show you here what I'm talking about. So if you go to the Hugging Face website, then you click here on models, you get this list. Then you can filter by task, summarization, okay. See, you get several models. Okay. Then you can filter by transformers, okay. Yeah, you can decrease the model size, okay, something like that. Okay, you get a smaller list, which is still useful. So this Facebook model is like the most used models for summarization. Okay, so this is more or less how I did it, how I attempted it, because the objective was to create summaries for my YouTube videos. So I followed some tutorials and I did some tests, and I've written a couple of posts on Substack. So this is the first one, okay, which I'll leave the link in the video description. So here I explain more or less which tutorials I followed. And yeah, so let's start with the first one I found at the time. So it's still here in the Hugging Face Transformers library. There's a natural language processing section, then there is summarization. Okay, and then you get this page here. The problem with this tutorial is that it's about fine-tuning a model. So this is already advanced stuff, and I didn't want to delve into that yet. I just wanted to use like a pre-trained model and see what came up, okay. Okay, and then there's another tutorial, which is this one here, which uses the pipeline API, which is the most simple way to do inference using the Transformers library. Now, the pipeline API is very easy to use because you just import it. You create a new pipeline object like this with the task. So in our case, we're doing the summarization. So it will be like this, okay. You select the model and then you pass the text as a parameter to the object. Okay, this one is a long one, okay. Then in theory, you should get eventually the summary, okay. So this is what I did, and I explained it in the Substack post. So yeah, it's very simple. From transformers import pipeline equals pipeline, and then task summarization model Facebook BART large CNN. So it's this one here, as I told you before. So if you run it, this comes up. So you get like a notice here that the device is set to use CPU, so this is not a problem. Then you get a warning. Your max length is set to 142, but your input length is only 79. So here we're talking about token lengths, which more or less are words, but they're not exactly the number of words, they're similar. This is a warning, and this is the summary, okay? And I can show you real time. So this is the first test I did. I can show you real time here. The script was generated a summary, okay? As I said, we import the pipeline. We have our input text. So this is from Wikipedia. Then there are several instructions here, which will generate the summary depending on various parameters. Okay, so the first post sends like this. Here I also reported it as plain text, okay. Then there's the next post. Okay, so yeah, so depending on the input, we need to fix the output token lengths, and so this is what I did here in the simple script. And if we run it like this, okay, it will take a while because, as I said, we're using the CPU. So now it's loading the model in the RAM. And then it will do the inference. Okay, see, the first warning is the same as the one in the post. Okay, now it's doing, yeah, see the inference, okay. It's here, the first result. Yeah, so it's not really, okay, so now we'll see why this exception came up. But yeah, so apart the maximum length, once you define it, you need to, probably also need to define the minimum length. Okay, so that those two parameters need to be adjusted depending on the input text. Okay, so it's not that easy as it's marketed on the Transformers tutorial page. Okay, and so this is the second summary, and see if you see here is truncated. Okay, then once you set more or less the accepted values, you set the min length and max length, you get a full summary, although as you see here it doesn't really make sense because it says it is a field of research in computer science that develops and studies method and software. Okay, so we're still talking about AI, so what it is. And then this exception you see here, so it starts from here, goes all the way here. You see it here, okay. So this exception is generated by this command here, by this instruction. So here I was attempting to read a caption file, a cleaned caption file, so it will only contain the text, the transcription of the YouTube video. The problem is that the input is too big, and so a model cannot handle it. Yeah, so here is the exception, and the possible solution, as I've written here in the post, is to chunk the input text and then generate a summary for each chunk, and then join all the summaries. So this, I think, this picture explains it well. Okay, so let's see the steps involved. So clean the input, okay. So of course we need, if we pass a SRT file, which is a subtitle file, we need to remove all the timestamps, okay. So this is easy for it. And then you can also remove consecutive white spaces and stuff like that. Then we need to find the correct min and max length for the output text. So for the summary, these are token lengths. Of course, as I said, we need to perform the chunking, do the summary for each chunking, join the chunks, and then write to separate text files, the output. So the summary will be, each summary will be in a separate text file. So as I said, this is the cleaning function. This is the function to get the min and max length values for the output summary, as well as the chunking. This is how you do the chunking, okay. Okay, so each chunk will be of the same size, except the last one, which will be less or equal than the other chunks, of course. And then I was able to use several models at the same time. So the script will iterate through each of these models and then generate a certain number of summaries for each model. And so I added some more parameters to the pipeline. For example, the number of certain sequences, which will be the number of summaries for each model. So this is the summarization function. If you see here the pipe, okay, this is the pipeline. These two are some example outputs, if you want to see them. And of course, this is all the inputs is the previous YouTube video, this one here, the llama inference video. Okay, so here are a couple of outputs. Okay, I'll show you here the script. I created a repository just for this stuff. So if you see here, this is the whole script. Okay, so this script needs a text file as argument. Okay, just show you quickly caption file how it is. Okay, so the script will remove all these new lines here. Okay, because we don't need them as input. Okay, so now you'll see every time the model is imported, it will contact, for some reason, it will contact Hugging Face to see if there are some updates or something like that. So this is still a thing I need to figure out how to avoid. Yeah, okay, so the first chunk 104 of the Google Pegasus build some model. Okay, so this will take some time. Okay, so while it's running, see we're already at chunk 204. I can show you. Okay, so these are the models which are in the cache directory inside the home. Okay, so we only have 4 models at the moment, but just to give you an idea, these 4 models combined will take about 12 gigabytes of space, so this is another thing to keep in mind. Chunking technique is like the most naive way to fix the input problem. Otherwise, you have to use different models or train existing models. But like this is like the easiest way to have an arbitrary input size and then to get a summary. Although as you saw, the quality of the summary is not that good. But yeah, I think as a starting point, it's not bad because you can extrapolate some of the sentences, the ones that make sense at least, and then manually, and then create a summary yourself with those. Maybe it will give some ideas. But yeah, so this is very far from GPT level stuff, the cloud services. This is way behind that. Okay, let's see. The first three summaries are complete. The Google Pegasus build sum. Okay, so this is the first summary. The second summary will be this one, and the first summary will be number 2. Okay, let's start with this one. Yeah, so it starts here. So you see the problem here. Q means Quen. So I don't know why the model is saying just Q here. Yeah, there are lots of hallucinations here. You need to keep in mind these are very small models, and they're not. I think they're not production ready. It was just like more like an experiment than anything else, but just to see how the Transformers library worked. So yeah, here it's still doing its job. It's taking quite a while to do the 3 summaries for each model. But yeah, so if you want, you can subscribe to my Substack, which is this one here, okay? I have other posts, older posts as well. The Substack is called Solve Computer Science Thoughts, and this is the URL. Of course, if you subscribe, you'll get some updates, okay? And other things which I won't put on YouTube, so want some extra insights on other things, you can read them here. There's a mailing list, and yeah, okay, so even the Facebook models, Facebook, I said to generate only one summary. Okay, yeah, you can see here. So yeah, subscribe to my Substack and see you next time. Bye bye.